Batman 162, Legacy number 927, JEPH LOEB writing with Jim Lee on the art. I do think the art's a little inconsistent in this issue, which is wild given how delayed it is, but at a certain point he felt he had to rush to finish, I guess.
Hey, Jim Lee is hand-fighting AI, all right? Give him a break.
Yes.
He's tired. He's over there John Wicking robots, okay?
No, he's over there Sarah Connoring robots, I think is maybe the more apt.
Yes.
He's taking on...
That makes more sense.
Yeah, the Terminator regime by himself.
Yes.
It's Jim Lee versus Skynet, and we're all rooting for Jim Lee.
Let's go.
This sucked. This sucks so goddamn much. And
from the, what is it, the second panel? Hold on, where's the panel? Where is Touche?
The second.
Go
on.
From I think the second panel, not the second, the fourth panel, where Bruce is, I thought judo chopping Babs in the neck, which already she was paraplegic. I was like, that's not a good look. But then when you look closer, he's injected her with something, which is even worse.
It was a trank, basically. You know? Yeah. So
yeah. So to make her relive her fear of being paralyzed.
Whoa. Hold on. I don't think that was the intent, to make her relive the fear. I think it was more just that was the knock. Like he was paralyzing her temporarily to get away from the Bat family, right? Like he's being, which is not to say I like it. I'm not defending this because I don't like it.
Yeah.
I just don't think his intention was to make her relive the fear. I think he's just acknowledging after he's done it that, oh, this probably makes her relive her scary day, and that's why in the second page, the 2-page layout, we get both Bab's scary day, which is Killing Joke, and Robin's scary day, which is lying with his dead parents at the circus.
Yeah.
So
the unflying Graysons.
It's so funny though, because I got to that page and I went, well, we've already done the perils in the alleyway. We got to do Babs and Dick's traumatic moments in life.
And I really thought we're gonna get bloody Jason with the crowbar by the end, and we did not. So thanks for the restraint, Jeff.
If you want to call it that, I don't like this whole thing with Batman taking out Babs here, mainly just because it felt like it was just so easy, and I'm like, come on, can we at least make it look like he had to put in a bit of effort? It felt like he just like side swiped her so easily with this injection. Yeah, like
there's an army of his allies in Riddler. Okay, I wouldn't call Riddler an ally, but he's there in this alleyway as well. And I don't know, it should have been more of a struggle, because it's not like nothing else goes on in this issue. It is a lot of standing around a church talking. We could have given up some of those pages for a little bit more of a struggle with Babs, you know? It definitely makes Babs feel like the most superfluous member of the Bat family, which we all know that's not true, right? She's a keystone. You know, it's like her and Dick are the two main members now that Alfred's gone. So I don't know.
That's waffling a lot of words to basically just say he makes it look like a chump, and Babs is not a chump, right? That's basically it. That, to sum it up in simple language. But anyway, Batman grapples away, and he gets up to a church. He's looking for Hush, but Selina comes smashing into the church with him, and he's like, "We need to talk now, Bruce." And like they have a bit of a small bit of a fight, but then like, okay, well, calm down. Let's talk about it. And I guess JEPH LOEB's feeling nostalgic because he's like, hey, remember when Hush first showed up? That's when I chose to demask and show you who I really was. And it's like, yeah, that was a big moment in our relationship because that's when we chose to trust each other to some extent. And I'm like, okay, now that you're bringing it up, I do remember that being in Hush. Fair enough. I think
22 years ago.
Yes. That's not the issue here.
Just want to point that out.
No, the issue. Yeah, they're reminiscent about that's not the issue. The problem here is that most of this book feels like it's still set in 2006. That's the problem.
Right. So for us, it feels like, oh yeah, nostalgic. Like that was a while ago. But you got to look in storyline. That shouldn't have been that long, you would think, right? So now it just seems like, I don't know. That's just comics and continuity, I think, in a nutshell.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about how much time it is in the world for them versus us. I'm talking about just how stylistically this book feels so still entrenched in that era. It just doesn't feel like, I don't know, it feels like almost like a disservice to the nostalgia of it for it to look exactly like a book from that time period to me. I don't know, like something, there was a weird disconnect for me when she started bringing that up. But anyway, the only thing about this issue I kind of liked is Damian dragging Batman surprisingly out of the church on his motorbike. Just because I think it's funny. But then, of course, it immediately ruined it, because we get to a page with Riddler after Riddler's taken out Damien, and he stands there and he says this line: question, what time is the unexpected? Or sorry, what time is to expect the unexpected? Answer, Nigma time. What in the absolute shit is that riddle? That's not a riddle.
It's not.
But he's the Riddler. When he says things like this, it's a riddle. He gives his answers in the form of the answer to a riddle. This is not a riddle.
It made me feel like I had brain damage. So, Nigma time. Not a... oof.
And that's before we even address the fact that he's still dressed like he's got all these pockets and stuff like Layfield's designed them in like 1992. Yep.
Liefeld presents the Riddler. Good Lord. God. That is up there within the first X-Men movie when Storm goes, you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing as everything else. Now, I can understand
that's better. No,
yes.
If I'm comparing it to this, that's better. The toad line's better.
I can understand how that line works on the page, right? The way that it was shot in the movie, it does not land.
Halle Berry's not a good actress for a star. I think that's part of the problem as well. It's not all the problem, but it's part of the problem.
This is just as he looks ridiculous, but I did love the page when the grapples go around Bruce, and first Selena sees them coming in the page above, and she says not now, and then when it's wrapped up, Bruce also thinks not now. So I really liked those two working.
There's like two pages there that I quite liked, which is him getting yanked out of the church and then the reveal that it's Damien being a little shit trying to prove himself. Yes, that 2 pages, I'm all for it. After this confrontation, Hush starts shooting at Babs, so Dick sort of shields her, but then Huntress comes in and starts spinning her stick to shield them. It's a whole thing, and Dick throws his stick up to hit Hush. And so that's the whole thing. The thing that got me though, well, 2 things. First of all, there's a whole bit here with Red Hood, where Red Hood shows back up, and like I barely remember that he's kind of working with Hush, sort of, because reasons. But Huntress runs after him and tries to, get him up the fire escape, and ultimately he kicks her away. But then Batman does this weird thing where he pulls off the door to the Batmobile as if he's like throwing it to hit Dick, but what he's actually doing is throwing them a shield. And I found this very confusing because I didn't really get it. If it wasn't for Babs saying, what she says on that 2-page layout, she says he wasn't escaping, he saved us. Which he's still kind of escaping, because he does this insane thing where he detonates like the concrete all around the Batmobile, and the Batmobile drops below because Hush said one line about something about the enemy being below or something. And the final page is that Joker's down there waiting with a gun, and that's the cliffhanger. And I just... Also, it looks like Bane's down there as well, just based on one panel in that 2-page layout. This was a great...
someone that's just had their jaw broken, too, Joker's looking okay.
Sure. This is a great example of like a comic just going somewhere at the end where I just don't understand, like, why are they down there? What's happening? Just suddenly there's villains underground right where we're standing. It's not even like we're at somewhere prominent, really.
Nope.
I don't get it. I don't get why anything happens in the back half of this issue. Honestly, like all of it.
I was so confused with so Jason brings the Batmobile, but Bruce knows that it's armed, like he can use it to blow explosives underneath. Everything is very convenient, you know, like story happens just because, and it's not like because Batman way where it needs to serve the story.
No, it's more convoluted than that.
It's way more convoluted. All to build up this page of Joker going, well, look who fell in the well. Which, if you read in the Mark Hamill voice, it kind of works, right? But it's like, I don't know. I want something a little bit more than that. Like, Batman just fell into the sewer.
We're back to Joker now, I guess. And it's just so well, because I'm like, this isn't even like halfway through the story. This is the penultimate issue of the first half of the story, because the second half is going to be I don't know, a mini series or something. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, but
in comparison to what we're reading in Batman right now, the Fraction book, it's so much better and so much of the story,
makes sense.
Yes, like Batman's not fighting his allies just because. Like, you feel if there's a disagreement, like Fraction's written in just cause to the disagreement and whatnot. So
that's the thing at the start of this issue is that, I mean, I'd kind of forgotten what the cliffhanger was because it had been like 3 months since the last issue. But when this started, I was like, oh yeah, like he was sort of squaring off against the Bat family at the end of the last issue, and I don't like any of it because they all feel so angsty. It feels like, in current continuity especially, it feels like they're all in a much better, healthier place than this, and it just feels like, I mean, I don't think I ever wanted them to be this level of angst, but certainly there was a time or a place for it when that was just kind of the status quo, so at least it's consistent. But here, though, it's like, this doesn't fit any of the other books right now in terms of like relationships happening or whatnot, so no.
And it's so wild to me because we know from reading the last Halloween that LOEB still can weave a story, right? Like that went some certain places. Yeah, that went some places, but it wasn't terrible. Like this, I would say is terrible. Like, so I'm just like, why? Who thought this was a good idea? Like, I get on paper putting LOEB and Lee back together, but it almost just seems like LOEB didn't even have a story. They were just like, hey, do you want to do Hush 2? And he's like, sure. They're like, what's the story? He's like, I'll let you know. And he's doing it in the Stan Lee style where he's, having the artist draw out the book first and then he's adding dialogue to it.
I just don't really like, what is the story of Hush 2 at this point? I mean, really, we're 5 issues in out of potentially 12 total, or at least 6 of this half. And I feel like, okay, there was obviously the one prominent thing that happened was that he was forced to like save the Joker's life, right? That was the one thing that I vividly remember from the rest of this story. And everything else has just kind of vaguely been, oh, Hush is out there manipulating the pieces. But like, what are the pieces? Like, could I tell you anything that happened in the last issue of this story?
No.
Not really. No. So, I don't know.
And that's what he says. He goes, yeah, they're moving the pieces into place. And then Batman's like, but Tommy never played chess. Well, then what is he doing? Bruce, please enlighten me. Like, well, that should not be a reveal in an issue down the line.
To be fair, he doesn't say he never played chess. He said it was never his game, implying that he wasn't good at it. So maybe he's gotten better at it. That's the point.
I would guess so. Like, But yeah, this was a rough read. I'm glad I waited till last to read it because it was painful. Yeah,
it's convoluted. That's all I felt in the back half of the issue. And obviously Jim Lee can draw some good art, but like I said, there's definitely pages of this that felt a little bit more rushed, like a little bit more sketchy or flat than his normal pages do. And there's moments where it looks quite nice, but there's also moments where it just kind of feels like, I don't know, things are looking a little bit in the sketchy side, but I don't know.
Bad times.
All right then, rate Batman 162.
3.5.
Damn. I'll say, do I want to go with a 3 or 4? I'm probably in that range. I'll say a 3. Yeah. I'm committing to the 3. I'm not going to be a coward and say 0.5.
Yeah. I did, because I liked some of that stuff. I did not like Riddler though, so, but some of the other stuff.
What time do you expect the unexpected? Nigma time. What the hell does that mean?
It's so bad. It's a lot like a lot of this brain rot that the youth are doing, where they like it because it doesn't make sense. But I know that's not what LOEB's doing. So it's just, I feel like, I don't know. It's not a good punchline at all.